Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Jana Ranjana Yamuna Dhira Yamuna Dhira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nasta Prayeshu Abhadresu
Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama
Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana. Unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavad, and by rendering service to pure devotees, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, practically nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established in irrevocable fact. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami, text number 14. Please repeat. Yashaiva Me Gasha Paravareso Tashaiva Me Gasha Paravaresho
Tasvaiva Meghasya Paravaresho Vyasakta
Chittasya Griheshu Avikshnam Vyasakta Chittasya Griheshwavikshnam Nirveda Mulo Dvija Sapa Rupo Nirveda Mulo Dvija Sapa Rupo Yatra Prashakto Vayam Asu Date Yatra Prashakto Vayam Asu Date Kashaiva Megrasya Paravareso Vyashakta Tishtasya Griheshwa Vikshnam
Vyasakta Chittasya Griheshu Avikshnam
Nirveda Mulo Dvija Saparupa Yatra Prashakta Vayamasu Date Shaiva Megrasya Paravareso Vyashakta Chittasya Griheshwa Vikshnam Nirveda Mulo Dvija Saparupa Yatra Prashakto Vayamastu Date Shaiva Megrasya Paravaresho Vyashakta Chittasya Griheshwa Vikshnam Nirveda Mulo Dvija Saparupa Yatra Prashakto Vayamasu Date
Tasyaiva me gasya pare varesho.
Tasyaiva me gasya paravaresho.
Yasakta chitasya griheshu abhikshnam.
Vyasakta
Chitasya griheshu abhikshnam.
Nivedamulo dvijasaparupo.
Nivedamulo dvijasaparupo.
Yatra prashakto vayamasudate.
Yatra prashakto vayamasudate. Anyone else there?
The sound is deafening. The sound is.
Okay, so we can do word for word. Tasha.
Tasya.
His.
Eva.
Eva. Certainly.
Certainly.
May. Man. Agasha.
Agasya.
Of the sinful.
Of the sinful.
Para. Transcendental.
Transcendental.
Avara.
Avara.
Mundane.
Mundane.
Isa.
Isha.
Controller. The Supreme Lord.
Supreme Lord.
Vyashakta.
Vyasakta.
Overly attached.
Overly attached.
Chittasya.
Chitasya.
Of the mind.
Of the mind.
Griyesu.
Griyesu.
To family affairs.
To family affairs.
Abhikshnam.
Avikshnam.
Always.
Always.
Nirveda.
Nirveda.
Mula.
Mula.
The source of detachment.
The source of attachment.
Dvijasapa.
Dijasava.
Cursing by the Brahmana.
Cursing by the Brahmins.
Rupa.
Rupa.
Former.
Forma.
Yatra.
Yatra.
Whereupon.
Whereupon.
Prashaktaha.
Prashaktaha.
One who is affected.
One who is affected.
Bhayam.
Bhayam.
Fearfulness.
Fearfulness.
Asu.
Asu.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Date.
Date.
Take place.
Take place.
Kashaiva megasha paravareso vyashakta chittasya griheshu abhikshnam niveda mulo dvijasaparupa yatra prasyakto vayama asudate. Translation, please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead,
the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds,
the controller of the both transcendental and mundane worlds,
has graciously overtaken me
has graciously overtaken me
in the form of a Brahmana's curse,
in the form of a Brahmana's curse,
due to my being too much attached to family life.
due to my being too much attached to family life.
The Lord,
The Lord,
in order to save me, has appeared before me
has appeared before me
in such a way
in such a way
that only out of fear
that only out of fear
I will detach myself from the world.
I will detach myself from the world.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane world, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Srila Prabhupada's Divine Purpose. Maharaj Parikshit, although born in a family of great devotees, the Pandavas, and although securely trained in transcendental attachment for the association of the Lord, still found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. Maharaj Parikshit could understand this by the presence of the topmost transcendentalist in the universe. The Lord resides in his devotees, and therefore the presence of the great saints indicates the presence of the Lord. The king therefore welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of favor of the Supreme Lord. The king thus welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of favor of the Supreme Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 14th sloka of the 19th chapter, 1st canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So there's that sloka from the Puranas that where Krishna or Vishnu is saying that I cannot be found in such and such place, or such and such place, and such place. I am in the hearts of those who are always chanting my glories. So that's these rishis and brahmanas, great sages from throughout the universe that have. And so he's such a great devotee himself that they have all come to be with him, knowing the plan of the Lord, and they know that he will be fasting until the snake bird bites him, so they have come. This is a great fortune when the devotees come like that, especially at that particular time. Now he can take complete advantage. He wasn't on his deathbed. He was in the prime of his existence, and so he was fully cognizant and could articulate whatever was on his mind very clearly, and he could hear and understand and question whatever answers he had received. So he's most fortunate. At least we can try to be fortunate while we're living, like so many of the devotees have spent our life in the Krishna consciousness movement. We could have done other things. You see all the things people do in the world, how much attached they are to their dharma, whether it be playing football or running a business or being a part of government or whatever. They are so duty bound, and they become so expert because after all they're putting all their time and energy into it. So similarly, any of us could have done things like that. But instead, we take the trouble to support Srila Prabhupada's International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We render as much service as we can, and most fortunately, we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and we try to hear from Srila Prabhupada's books in the association of the devotees, questioning things that we need clarification on, and at the same time trying to espouse the science ourselves. So that's very rare, actually. We have 7 billion people on Earth, and there may be a few thousand involved in Prabhupada's society, and certainly a few million more involved in Krishna consciousness. And then the number increases the further you get away from direct Krishna consciousness, directly involved in Lord Chaitanya's movement. It spreads out amongst so many religions, and eventually, you're left with just the faithless. So, it's a very rare thing to be part of the Krishna consciousness movement, to be hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam in the presence of other devotees. This was the plan of the Lord for Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, although a great devotee, the grandson of Arjuna, great-grandson of Arjuna, is that right? He's the great-grandson of Arjuna? No, he's the grandson of Arjuna because it was Arjuna's son that conceived him. So his grandfather was Arjuna. So, naturally he was trained and he lived with the Pandavas. His father passed away and he lived with the Pandavas. They raised him. So he naturally was trained with, attachment to Krishna. He was really attached to serving Guru and Krishna, Guru and Vishnu. That was his life. And plus he was saved by Vishnu within the womb, and he was always examining people's hearts to see if he could see that Lord again. So there was no question of his lack of devotion. That was there. But he's making the point for all of us who have taken our birth in this world that, despite his qualifications, he naturally became attached to his family situation. And that's a hindrance for devotional service. We may wonder why. Why is that a hindrance? We're devotees. It's a hindrance because our love becomes reposed in those family members. And therefore Guru and Krishna take second place. Because we're always busy. Satisfying the needs of those who need us. So the Lord has to devise a plan. And there's a general plan for all of us. It's known as birth and death. We can maintain our attachments, but for those who are trained in spiritual science, they know what that means. That means rebirth. Because it's based on our attachment. We can't deprive ourselves of our individuality and our free will and our own needs. If our needs are to, again, take birth, then what is Krishna to do? He has to devise a plan to detach us. So the general plan, of course, is people understanding the system, what's going on, samsara. Take the opportunity. You're a human being. Become attached to Krishna. You had unlimited families, unlimited kith and kin. Unlimited runarounds in the world of Maya. Now take the opportunity. I have one boy on Facebook, Indian boy. He asked me what is Maya. Just laughed. I said, read the story of Dharuka and Krishna. He asked me where it was. I said, it's in some Quran. I don't have time right now to quote you the story. Look it up. And maybe he got back in touch with me. You get so many people, asking so many things. I can't always keep track of all of them. So I had to go back and find him, see if he ever got his answer. It's a nice story. The devotees, they hear it. At least I heard it way back when, in the 1970s, and everybody here has heard it, how Dharuka asked Krishna that question, what is Maya? And Krishna told him, he said, well, go get me a glass of water and I'll tell you. So he goes to get Krishna a glass of water at the stream, and he meets a beautiful lady. And I'm going to condense the story. This is the way I heard it, but I'm putting it in my own words. He meets a beautiful lady and naturally becomes attached and married. And from that marriage, there are many children, as well as his wife's family. And they have a beautiful home, beautiful setting. And everything is wonderful. He's very lucky, I guess it's not during the Kali Yuga, not a lot of sickness and problems. But everything was going fine. And then one day the river rose. And it kept rising. And just like we find happens in this world, when there's rain, sometimes people build too close to the banks of the river. Soon they're flooded. And soon they were on the roof, like many people we've probably seen on YouTube. gradually, as the waves came, one by one, his family was lost. Eventually, all of them were lost, and then the wave was coming for him. And right when it was taking him, he said, "Krishna!"
Krishna.
And he woke up, and Krishna said, "That's Maya." So, Krishna has to devise a plan to free us. We can make that easy. We can simply attach ourselves to Vedi Bhakti and hear about Krishna from Prabhupada's books, especially Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita. But others like the Upanishad also. So many. So then we can derive the benefit like Parikshit Maharaj. You know, Parikshit Maharaj is very fortunate because he knows 7 days. Some devotee recently told me, why devotees die from cancer? Why? Because you get a notice. You have a terminal disease. You only have 4 months. You only have 4 years. They generally say you only have, a few months, and that may turn into a few years, but it's just a few. So what are you going to do during this time? Continue working like an ass, to provide? Prabhupada would also give that example. The ass works very hard. They load its back. You can still see it in India. And they put a carrot in front of it and they make it work. You see it in the French Quarter all the time. They put a carrot in front of those horses, pulling those carriages around with all those tourists in it. And that horse, in the heat of the summer, with saliva coming out of his mouth, pulls that wagon. In the evening, they bring it back and put it in a stable and give it some hay. So Prabhupada would make the point, there's hay everywhere. There's grass everywhere. But he has to work so hard just to get some grass. And then, if he sees a female, then he tries to, fulfill his sexual propensity. And that's always not so smooth. Many times they get kicked.
Right in the face.
So that's life, though, in the material world. Prabhupada's trying to make that point. There's grass everywhere. So, why, do we have to work so hard, for money? When there's grass everywhere, there's air everywhere, there's water everywhere, and, lo and behold, there's food everywhere. When we first became devotees, the way we provided for the Sunday feast is we would have to go down to the French Quarter and go through the trash cans to get all the tomatoes they threw away and potatoes. Because you could get so many. Bananas and all that stuff. When Charupa had to walk out on his life because he was in so much debt, he just took the cell phone and threw it in the lake. And he never heard from those people again. But then he was so poor, he was living in the woods in a car that could possibly break down. Somebody let him live there, and there was actually a pump where he could get water. But he didn't have no money, so he would go to the store, and he actually resorted to pilfering. And somehow ever was never caught. And he would, he'd take stuff out of the trash cans, but sometimes he was hungry, he'd go right into the store and fill up a grocery bag and walk out. Now, I don't know about anybody to do that. I remember when Mother Sripati tried to get something for the temple and bring it back, she was caught. And we had to go bail her out of jail. So things like that happen. I mean, these people don't want a dime ripped off, these big corporations. And they got cameras and they have guys walking around and they're talking to one another. The guy's on the camera says, like, aisle 6, get over there. So please don't do anything like that. But he is a little bit older, I'm sure. So, but there's food everywhere. Sukadeva Goswami makes that point in the second canto. You can use your arm for a pillow. You can always find some old clothing. We can find something to put on. Sometimes people may make fun of you, because of what you wear. But I mean, if you're a poor person, then what can be done? And Lord Chaitanya liked it when Sanatana Goswami gave away his nice charter and took a mendicant's old charter. Because after all, he was supposed to be renounced. He was in the renounced order. None of us in the renounced order, but we are like we're renounced devotees. We're not out there, trying to make a fortune. We're just living off the bare necessities of life, whatever the government gives, and that's to their credit. What if they didn't give anything? What if they didn't have anything? I was telling the story of my friend who took his life because he was so disgusted with the government. He made a great case trying to stand up for his people, all the people who were employed under him, how the government's cheated them on their pensions, and the government just blew it off because they control the courts. And, he became just disgusted. He just wasn't Krishna conscious enough to be detached from it. So, so at least, the government's giving us something to make life, a little bit easier. But it's good if we're utilizing that life in Krishna consciousness. If we just go back, to trying to enjoy in the world again, let me go, I can, find another mate, soulmate, and, we can have sometimes it's ridiculous at our age. It may not be ridiculous for, middle-aged people or lower, but it's a little bit ridiculous when you hit a certain stage, but still it goes on and on and on in the material world. Because of why? Because people are so attached. And, that's the disease. That's the real disease. We're worried about cancer and this and that. But the real disease is that we're so attached to this world that, it's practically impossible to give it up. But we can by hearing about Krishna, and we can prepare ourselves because, after all, Maya is going to force us to give it up. And then she's going to give us the choice. Where would you like to come back in? She'll say it real nicely. Then she'll, just like a salesperson, she'll throw out a sales book. Did you really want to be one of these? You could be that model or movie star if you want to. You could be Bill Gates. You could have the intelligence of Steve Jobs. Maya can, not very difficult to, trick someone like me, I would definitely liable to go for it, So that's my misfortune. They have to come back again, and do it again. But there's no better way to do it again than being trained as a brahmachari, because being trained as a brahmachari helps people to be detached. Because a brahmachari is taken at a young age and made to serve his guru. Doesn't have anything. He can't go crying to his parents. And he has to become detached. I can remember living in the ashram, and you don't even know who won the Super Bowl. You don't even know anything that happened in the world between such and such dates.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
It all becomes, not so important. But in the world, all these things are like so important, But the devotees, they get so absorbed that what's important is waking up early. I can remember going downstairs and Mahaprana would be still sitting there with his hand on his Brahmin thread, chanting Gayatri, because he had fallen asleep during the night, chanting his Gayatri, and never woke up. Right in the temple room. Say, Maha, it's time for Mangalaki. And he'd wake on up and he'd run upstairs and take a shower. Now, it didn't happen every day, but it did happen. So, you're so absorbed in taking care of Radha and Krishna and Gurnitai and Srila Prabhupada, and helping all those devotees who are serving the mission, especially those going out and distributing books or here in the farm, taking care of the cows. I can remember how much fun it was for me and Dvibuja and Rohita, whoever it was, to go down and milk the cows. Even shoveling dung was like a blast for the single guys. You had nothing else to do. So, you ate, you had so much energy you had to wear off. We'd go out and shovel dung. We'd collect dung. Sometimes we'd get in dung fights. You know, we'd even rub the dung all over our bodies and we'd lay in the sun like, you know, people put clay all over them, try to make their skin nice. And then we'd jump in the pond and clean it all off, you know, and go back to the temple and tell the temple president, you know, how much work we did, you know. So, you know, so Krishna gives an opportunity. And so, if you do get married, then at least you can remember what it's like to be detached from the world. Because very soon it captures you and it captivates you, and, you know, and there's no getting out of it. Until, you know, you get old, and then it, you know, it's more difficult to do all the things that are young people can do to serve Krishna's mission. But, you know, still you see how the devotees, they hear and chant as much as possible, they come to the temple. You see them getting up there trying to address the deities. Now, you know, they're all getting these knee things. Mother Shripati's had a knee replacement, and she's saying, oh, so difficult. Same with Mother Mohansini. Oh, I'll never get the second one replaced. Mother Bala, Jagadish's wife, had both of them replaced. Now Laja's calling up Mohansini and Shripati because the doctor told her, well, you need a knee replacement because she's just complaining so much how bad it hurts. Says, well, you need a knee replacement. Remember, Chitraketu's sister got a hip replacement, and it just made her more invalid than what she was before, because it's so difficult in this world that, you know, doctors can make a mistake anytime. Somebody else recently, in fact, the gentleman who's going to be coming here to do his father's annual shred ceremony, Bijay Mohanty, his dad was a prominent physicist at the University of Louisiana, LSU, Louisiana State University, prominent. You know, presidents came and talked to him. The governor always. I mean, rich people. And had some operation, and, you know, there was a mistake. And infection set in and they couldn't stop it. Passed away unexpectedly on time. He was supposed to be going in for an operation. It wasn't a real critical one, but, you know, things happen. You know, things happen. So, you know, just another case like that. So, you know, this material world, you know, we have to always be prepared, and there's no better way to be prepared than to be, you know, hearing this science. We can take strength from Parikshit Maharaj. 7 days, what did he do? He didn't worry about eating and sleeping. He just heard as much as he could about Krishna consciousness and the association of devotees. You know, Pundarik was so lucky because they managed to get him to India, and all the devotees there's so many devotees there, they would all go there to see him in Vrindavan and chant to him. I mean, the same thing can be in any temple. Srila Prabhupada said he was not afraid to leave at any temple in the world. We have the example of Bhaktitirtha Maharaj. You know, he didn't go to India. He could have went to India. You know, he had plenty of disciples. People give him money. He could have went to India. But he stayed in Gitanagari and left his body there. And devotees came to see him, you know. I mean, most times devotees come and see people, you know. We have Dvijahari. He certainly wasn't Dinabandhu, or the friend of the distress. I mean, you know, there's some Sanskrit words for one who, he wasn't Shrudidam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna's, you know, he's the friend of everyone. I mean, Dvija certainly had his enemies and critics because he himself could be a little bit critical. But at the end, everybody came and saw him. Everyone loved him. And he finally got all the attention he ever wanted, practically speaking. And he left his body like that in the association with the Buddha. One of the last things he told me was he would be looking at this picture of Prabhupada and he would say, I should have never left Mayapur. But he left. Why did he leave? Because he got married.
Pundarik said the same thing.
Pundarik said the same thing.
He said that the cauliflower pakoras in Gainesville were so great. And Guru Maharaj said, we would have made you some if you'd told us. He told Pundarik he would be Pundarik Maharaj by now.
He would have been. I remember I went there, they sent me to Gainesville for some reason. Or maybe Gainesville was just a stop. Somehow, I got things mixed up. Anyway, I was in Gainesville, and I saw him. He was all dressed in orange, and him and some other brahmacharis were sitting there having bhajan, and I was thinking, wow, those guys look peaceful and happy, Then a few years later, I see him driving in his Toyota, his wife and child, and he's having to go on Sankirtan because they had to not only distribute Prabhupada's books, but they had to collect some money too so they can live,
Vijayahari also, I heard he was advised by Veer Krishna Maharaj to ask for forgiveness from the devotees, and that he actually did that. Went around with
Pundarik?
Vijayahari.
Oh, Ouija.
I remember
Ouija
that.
actually went around and did that.
I remember that.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. But I mean, he was a real Prabhupada man in the sense that he would only listen to Srila Prabhupada. I mean, he would study books and put bookmarks and call me over. Again, look at this. Just look at it. Read that. He was like into it, I mean, his mom was really absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He may not have always presented it in the most encouraging way. He was generally in a debateful kind of way. He seemed to enjoy that, but there was no question of him not hearing about Srila Prabhupada and hearing about Krishna.
Well, every time I spoke to Vijayahari, he said, go to Mangalarti, go to Mangalarti.
Yeah, just see.
He told everyone that.
Yeah, he would do that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just a little bit on the rough side of Vijayahari.
Oh,
But
not hard.
until one day he said to me, so you chant your 16 rounds? I said, yes, I always chanted my 16 rounds. And he goes, oh, okay, good. That's what everyone needs to do, is chant your 16 rounds. And after that, he was just kind of this mood with me, lightened up. But also when his wife was ill, I went, we also had a little bit of a risk, but I went and did Reiki and a little bit of healing techniques with her. And she was also very gracious, even though she couldn't speak at that time. She wrote, a letter, apologizing any offenses she may have committed or anything like that.
Wow.
And when Vijayahari left, Mahalakshmi and I and his son and Varaha were there. Everybody had been there all night long, but at the moment that he left, we were there. And then just like minutes after he left, he was at home. There was a big bank of windows in the wall there, and the sun was shining and it started to rain.
Wow. Wow.
He had a shower on Sheila on his chest here for the last 12 hours of his life. And Prabhu, then my boys and you came and bathed the body, and then we did, we spoke about him right there at his home. And people that had some kind of animosity, towards each other even. I remember Nishinga and Varaha were there. It was all...
I didn't see Nishinga, I saw Varaha.
Yeah, Nishinga was there. Because any kind of animosity between people, it just it melted, because this is what's going to happen to all of us. Is there any point in moving?
Just between Ravana and Ram. After Ravana's demise, Ram never held any enmity. Another example is Ramakeli. He kept running to the doctor, and one night he got Siki Mahiti up and made him take him to the hospital. He got to the hospital and the doctor said, you got to stop this right now. There's nothing anyone can do for you. You have to prepare yourself. So he went back, and all of his children came, and they all sat around and chanted. And Ramakeli left the world calling out to Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Wow.
Somehow ever he saw Bhaktivinoda Thakur,
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow. And every time Dweja Hari would see Bhakti Steve, he'd go, Bhakti Steve, are you still a Prabhupada man?
What Steve was that?
He's Sanjaya now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He would.
Bhakti Steve,
Dweja
are you still a
Hari?
Prabhupada man? And Bhakti Steve would say, yeah, Dweja.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
You know, the Mula Prakirti book has a picture of Prabhupada, and I think it's in Vrindavan or Mayapur, probably Mayapur. And in that, it's the only picture that Dwi is in, because he was trying to get me to get a copy of that picture. You can see a young Dweja Hari sitting in front of Prabhupada on the far side. He was really one, and I couldn't ever...
He had that photo framed in his living room.
Yeah. And among Wartik, that's the thing, I know for sure, back then, when I was living in town, I'd come 2 days a week, he was always right there, sitting in the chair. It'd just be you, him, Rasaraj. And then...
Sometimes Rikodara, sometimes other people would come.
Hardly ever. It was just, he was always...
But he was always there,
He
yeah.
was always there. But,
And when my Guru Maharaj came, I guess it must have been 2014 for the retreat, then he stayed at Vedanta Krits, and then we arranged with Narayan, Vijay's son, that the servants could stay in that house. And so, a day or two after they came, then one devotee asked me, he said, did somebody die in that bed? Yeah. And he said, because there's a picture of Prabhupada on the ceiling, and he said, it felt like a shrine there. He said, it's really difficult serving Maharaj, and I haven't slept that well in this whole trip. And it's really felt like peaceful, and he was able to...
Wow.
That's my mom left in. My mom left in that bed.
That must be
Same bed? How did you get it?
Narayan gave it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Who sleeps in it now?
We had a different mattress. That mattress actually, we must have had a heavy bottom, because it had a big
So you got a different mattress for your mom?
No, my mom, I was going to, but my mom liked it.
Oh, she liked it?
It was like a little nest for her. She was so small.
Yeah, she was so thin.
Yeah, so tiny, just fit like in a little nest in it. And,
Wow.
but after she left, then we got a new mattress. But before everyone goes, also, I just wanted to say that, Mother Haridwani and I are leaving tomorrow morning at 4:30. And I just wanted to offer my obeisances, and please ask everyone if I commit any offense, knowing or unknowingly, to any of you, please forgive us and pray for us that we have a safe trip. And
Well, Mother Haridwani asked the same thing, and we told her that it depends on you praying for us.
no doubt, I will dip for each one of you. And no Ganga, thank you all.
Jai.
Colleen also, she has a picture of Dweja Hari's wife in a kimono, just like a week or two before she died.
Who, Colleen's
I
got
think she had bought this very expensive kimono. Her parents were stationed in Japan after World War II, and it's a beautiful kimono. And so then, this was a couple of weeks before she died, and she put it on, and she's standing like this. And she just looks so sweet, so gentle.
We took a picture of Mayumi to India, and we had her in a Ziploc bag. And when we go to sacred rivers and things, we dip her in, and she left while we were in Mayapur.
What was that?
Mayumi.
Naomi.
Dweja Hari's wife.
What did you have? Some of her ashes?
No, she was alive. But we had a picture of her.
Oh, you
Put
took
her
a
in
picture.
Ziploc bag, and we dipped her. When we dipped in sacred rivers, we dipped her. In
The
sacred-
picture of her?
The picture, yeah,
Okay.
in the plastic bag.
Wow.
And she left, and then we did we had a little plate made for her and everything when we were in Mayapur. And then we took that plate and put it under a tree. Is that what we did?
But that's what Janani Bhatt said to do, just take it out and put it for the animals. But
Rajaraj says that he spent the night after Mayumi died in the house with Vijayahari. And he says, she came to the door and said, please take care of Vijayahari.
Really? He never told me that.
Told me.
Maybe he told me, I just forgot, you know. Wow.
Please take care of my husband. She wouldn't leave. She wouldn't leave the house until he agreed that we could take care of her.
Wow.
But Vijayahari also got upset with my wife because he had his mother. Because his mother died before Mayumi. She was in the trailer. I think that Kalindi owns now. And, she was a Catholic. But Vijayahari would only play Prabhupada. So my wife would go over there and chant the rosary with her.
He got there.
He got mad. But he gave my wife her Bible, which was very valuable Bible.
I know he's praying for her.
Your Colleen gave Dweja's mama.
Vijayahari gave my wife his mother's Bible.
Wow. Just see. So many people didn't know.
It was actually signed by Jerry Falwell, even though she was Catholic. It was an autograph. It was very old, big, old one. I forget what she did with it. I think she donated it to somebody.
Wow. Any other transcendental pastimes?
I'll tell you a story about Vijayahari and Prabhupada. He was
Vijayahari and Prabhupada.
Yeah, he was a guard in Mayapur after they had been attacked. And his duty was to do, like you used to do in Miami, he would do this, walk the property, the perimeter, with a gun. And one morning, in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, someone walks up and it's Prabhupada. And then he asks, Prabhupada asks him a couple of questions and tells him what he does. And then he says, can I walk with you? Prabhupada says, can I walk with you? And he said, yeah, sure. So Prabhupada walked around the perimeter and watched. And then Prabhupada would ask him questions, what would you do if this happens? What would you do if that happens?
Really? That's a different one I never heard.
He told me that. It was when we were doing the 30th anniversary thing. It might have even been recorded.
Cold falls.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you wouldn't expect. But he said he was at Thompson Square Park when Prabhupada was doing the chant in the crowd.
He saw Prabhupada at that time.
Yeah. He was in the crowd a couple of times. He was working with a movie company. They were doing some kind of, technical work or like an errand boy or whatever. And so he saw that the 26th. He saw the Thompson Square Park kirtans with Prabhupada.
Wow.
That's the special divine mercy from those people that are born in New York. Yeah, I get something out of it.
Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.